What should I put for desired salary on a job application? If that's something that you've been struggling with, don't worry, we're going to cover that. We're going to cover all the options you can use, as well as the suggestions that I have and reasons why you should do it and how to make sure you're getting the correct information on there. So if that's something you're interested in, then stay tuned. Hey, this is Michael with Michael's Business English. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Michael Rincon. I'm a former six-figure data analyst and turned ESL instructor and career coach, and I support English language learners like you improve their career development through communications and language training. If you're new here, on this channel, we cover topics such as business communications, career development, and business English. So if you're into that, make sure you like and subscribe, and all the links that we mentioned will be in the description box below. So when it comes to desired salary on a job application, there's basically two challenges you have to deal with, right? So the first one, and hopefully this is the one you have, which is really simple, is that you have the option to put whatever you want, meaning that you'll have the ability to just put down negotiable, meaning that you're open to that. That's typically the best way to go, because depending on what you put in, you could end up shooting yourself out of the ballpark. Meaning that what will happen is if you might put a price that's way too high, and it might be just slightly higher than what you're looking for. Maybe it's, let's say you put, let's say you wanted to put $20 an hour, and they're going to put 19. Well, you automatically disqualified yourself for that, and so that's just something to be aware of. If you can, whenever you can, put down negotiable. That's basically my rule of thumb. Another thing that might happen, this is not as common, but this may happen, is that you may have to put in an answer. So, for example, they may actually ask, in some applications I've seen, if you want to be a copywriter, for example, or any sort of digital freelance, they'll typically say, please list your salary expectations, do not put negotiable. And that's where it becomes more challenging. So I'll put that one actually separate, because that's more for freelancers, solopreneurs, and part-time job seekers, so if like in DevOps, for example. But if you're like a full-time job seeker and you have to pick down or drop down, well, the answer is really simple in my opinion. You put down the salary range that you're looking for, which you should have because you should have done your research, right? So if you've done your research from the beginning, you know your target salary, you know the job that you want, you know what salary is usually paid for in that level, and you have the evidence to prove it. That's really important, because if you don't have a way to prove that, you're going to start challenging yourself. You're going to start questioning the validity. I'm trying to say it, the accuracy, or how valid is it that I can put this rate. So typically you'll see 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 50, 60 to 70, things like that, like increments like that. And so you'll always want to make sure you put in a little bit higher than what you're looking for, because they're going to try and lowball you. It's just how it is. This is what most companies do, is they'll say, yes, it's going to be this. You'll say this, and they will actually do it like this. It's just normal behavior, and they expect you to negotiate. The reason, let me actually touch on that a bit. Why do employers lowball you? It's not because they don't value you, which they might use verbiage that might sound like that. They may say something like, we've reevaluated the position, but really it's because, especially in countries like America, we expect you to negotiate. It's normal. So they know, if we say, for example, if they give you a job for $70,000 and the rate is actually $60,000, you might come back and ask for more money. So that's why they give you $60,000, knowing that you're probably going to ask for 70. Hope that makes sense. So whenever I know it's not meant to be a negotiation course or negotiation video, but just keep that in mind, that that's the reason why people lowball you in interviews and when you get offers. So when you're looking at your job application, make sure make sure you've done the research. Make sure you've gone to sites like Glassdoor, PayScale, and probably most importantly, the informational interviews will tell you more than anything else. In fact, by far, I can't stress that enough. If you do informational interviews, you can actually get salary ranges that are accurate versus the sites, because most of those sites are just guessing. So again, when you're looking to put the application, and when you're being asked to put in your desired application, your desired salary amount, always put a little bit higher than what you're looking for. Another example, let me tell you a quick story. This can apply to any job. When I was in college, I actually applied for Starbucks. I walked in, and at this time, they didn't have ATS at the time for some reason. They didn't have online applications. They actually had like paper. This tells you how old I am, right? So I went in, put my application in, and wrote down that I was looking for $9 an hour. Which at the time, that's not like a lot of money nowadays because the minimum wage has gone up to 15. But at the time, $9 an hour was pretty big. And I put $9 an hour because I had done informational interviews, and that's what I had understood. Like these people were making, people at my age who were working part-time jobs were making like $6 to $9 an hour. When I actually did the interview, the manager looked at my form, we were talking, and then we got down to the salary. He's like, I can't give you $9 an hour, right? I can give you we actually started $6 an hour plus tips, right? You see what happened there was like, because I went higher than I was looking for, like I got the rate I was looking for. Whereas if I gotten too low, like he might have disqualified me already. He's like, why are you looking for $4 an hour? Why are you looking for $5 an hour, right? Like, which mind you, I was in college as a kid, so like $5 an hour in the US is perfectly fine if you're only working part-time, just trying to make a little extra income. So it's really important to keep that in mind. Like you, as a general rule, always go higher than you're expected. The final thing I want to talk about is when it comes to your job application was, like I said earlier before, like if you are a part-time or you're a freelancer of some kind and they're asking you for salary expectations, again, this might be, it depends if it's full-time or part-time. So if it's a part-time job, instead of putting like an actual compensation package, you'll want to put like your hourly rate. But for projects, it might be a little bit harder. Meaning that like if you are like doing a project where it's like, I'm going to do like a blog post, I'm going to send a couple of emails, I'm going to do a website, like you should be prepared to have like a range, a minimum, maximum. You always want to put in like a range that's appropriate. Like you don't want to put yourself like, this is the bare minimum I'll take is 5,000. Like that's no point, because again, they're going to try and negotiate. So make sure you always put up a higher level range. So if, let's say for example, I don't know this stuff, I'm not a web dev ops, but if you were going to work on a project and you were looking to get paid $3,000 for this project, you would want to put down 4,000 to 6,000. And the reason that is because they're going to come back and say, I can't do 6,000, I can do 4,000. Or even better, if you maybe they'll say I can't do 4,000, but I can do 3,000. Right? Now, what happens if you say I can do if you're done 3,000 to 6,000, they'll come back and say I can't do 3,000, I can only do 2,000, because guess what? They're trying to negotiate. So always, always, always keep in mind, like whatever they tell you, whatever their thing is, whatever you think it is, always go higher. Right? You shoot for the moon. What's the term? Like shoot for the stars and you'll get the moon, or something like that. Like there's a phrase, I don't know how it escapes me, but basically what it says is that aim high, because then you'll higher than you're looking for, because then you'll actually get the result you want. Nice. So when you're thinking about your salary, make sure you have that aware that you want to be going a little bit higher than what you're looking for. But again, the most important thing is to do the research, because if you've done the proper research, then you know. You know, for example, like I know with 100% confidence what my rate is consistently, because I get interviewed all the time. I get approached for interview and I talk to recruiters routinely when I was a data analyst, and I'll say, how much is the rate? The rate's going to be $45, the rate's going to be $50. Like, so I don't even have to do informational interviews anymore. When I first started looking for work, I had to, because I didn't have the lead generation that I have now. But that's why it's so important to do the research, one, and to do informational interviews of some kind, so you are aware of what your salary should be. In fact, I encourage you, like if you're in the middle of a job search right now, like stop job searching and spend one day going through Glassdoor and PayScale, and even I think Indeed has this as well, Salary Insights. LinkedIn might have Salary Insights too, and going through and finding out the salary of the positions you're interested in, the titles, the company size, the location of the city, the benefits, not just the salary, by the way. Make sure you understand the entire benefits package. The same thing is also true if you're not job searching too, because let me tell you, like I've gotten job offers when I wasn't looking. So that's an important thing to be aware of. Like you don't know when the next job offer is going to come in, and you don't want to be like stumbling and be like, oh, what do I say? What do I do? How do I answer the question? Like I don't know. Like that's why you want to always be aware, like what your rate is, what your rate has been in the past, and what your rate should be, and what it should be based on your current credentials, based on your experiences, based on what you offer, based on all as much as you can, right? So like one thing I do in my field when I was a data analyst was that I changed my rate based on the fact whether it was contract work or full-time work. Meaning, like, am I going to get the benefits of being a full-time employee, or am I a contractor and I don't get health insurance, I don't get paid time off? And so I had different ranges for that. It also depends on the length of the contract. It also depends on like how familiar I am with the industry and how specialized it is. So always be aware of that. And the final thing I want to tell you before I end this video is that you're going to hear no a lot. You're going to be told you're too high. That's not reasonable, especially if you work with recruiters. Some recruiters are very like silver tongued. They're very smooth, and they'll say things like, "We don't typically see rates or positions at that level in this city." Right? I remember the last time I had an interview, someone told me like, "We don't have jobs $50, $60. We don't typically see roles at $60 an hour." A week later, another recruiter reached out to me for $80 an hour for analyst position. So I just want you to be aware of that. Like, people will tell you whatever they want. It's just how it is. It's the negotiation game. So the two things I want you to take away from this: one, do your research. I've stressed that as much as I can. Like, if you take one point, do your research as much as you can, including going online and doing informational interviews. So that way you have an idea of what your salary is and what it should be. Like what should be your target salary, what's the salary range, your entire benefits package as well. So when you're applying for jobs, you have an ideal salary, so you know like what to expect, because you never know when, even if you're not applying for jobs, if a recruiter's going to reach out to you. And the second thing is always go a little bit higher than you're aiming for, because because the employers will expect you to negotiate. They're going to come in low because they want you to negotiate. They expect you to go for 10, 20, 30% more. All right, I hope this stuff was helpful for you. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. I'd be happy to give you my opinion. You can also find me on LinkedIn. That's where I'm most active right now. You can shoot me an email at support@michaelsbusinessenglish.com. They can send that email to me and I can check it out. But probably best to go on LinkedIn. All right, thank you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to catch you guys in the next video. Thank you.